Hello there, beautiful people of the internet. I am Vance Paynter here again to bring you wonderful Turo information for your potential business that you have or are looking to start. Now, today I want to talk about getting your first Turo vehicle. Not exactly how, but some of the things that I looked into in order to determine what I was going to get for one of my first vehicles. Now, there's a plethora of ways to do this, but these are just some of the things that I saw and wanted to get out there for you. That way you could think about them as well and maybe help you make the right decision. So, what are your Turo goals? You see, you have to know what you want to do with Turo, and there are quite a few different things. And I understand that might sound ridiculous because it is a car rental service. Of course, you're renting cars, but what is your purpose behind renting cars? I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but you can be doing something like actually trying to build a company, right? Many vehicles. Maybe it's your side hustle, just one, maybe two cars. Maybe this is something that you are using to help pay for a dream vehicle. That's a little bit risky, but I see a lot of people doing that as well. And you could also be using this for small little, let's say, tips and tricks in life, a little bit of a credit booster, if you want to call it that as well. There are many things to be using Turo for, and you need to align yourself with those goals. That way you can figure out the best course of action to take it with your vehicles, right? Based on what your goals are, it's kind of what you're going to be purchasing, right? I got a Toyota Highlander as one of my first vehicles. And my goal was to actually test the platform and to see if it was a viable solution for a side hustle or potential expanding business. So that's why I chose that vehicle. And there's a couple things that went behind that. I didn't just get any Toyota Highlander. I went through the features. It's a big thing, right? Because when you put your Turo vehicle online, you are selecting different features that it does have to potentially weed out cars that the clients don't want. So Bluetooth, navigation, auxiliary cords, things like this are features that you can add onto your vehicle that might give you a better chance of having your vehicle selected, because that might be something that people are looking for. Third row seating was another one, and I had that in my vehicle. And that was on purpose. I wanted something a little more family oriented. But anyway, point is, has leather, Bluetooth. It's a very, very nice vehicle is what I did. But I didn't do a high brand, an expensive brand. Let's call it that. And I didn't do an expensive brand on purpose, but I did a featureful vehicle to make sure that I had the best opportunity and chance that somebody would want this over someone else's car, just because it is such a nice vehicle for a wonderful price. Now, the other thing that you have to take into consideration before you even purchase is, what is your average monthly revenue going to be, right? So what I did is I went and researched, especially in your area and other areas, because you might not have many comparable vehicles, what it would look like for you in comparison to some of the other vehicles in your area that are like yours, or in other areas where you could potentially get a good idea, right? So what you're trying to do is get a good idea of what you can charge daily, and that will be able to determine, hey, I know I'm probably going to have, I would say on minimum, about 20 days of it rented out, just depending on what kind of vehicle you have and your target of kind of what people do as an average rental time, right? Because different vehicles rent out for different periods of times. There's so many different little things to look into. But the point is here that you want to be able to figure out, and I would say that 20 days is a good number, how much you can make revenue a month. Based on that, you're going to want to figure out your maintenance and your cost overall, monthly cost, insurance. All of these things have to take into account so you can make sure that you can be positive at the end of the month. Now, there are little things in each trip that might make you an extra buck here or there, but you don't want to take those into account. That's extra money. We want to take into account, what can we make after all expenses? So this is where, again, the Toyota steps in, because I knew this was going to be a relatively low maintenance vehicle. Things like oil changes, tire rotations, getting new tires, of course, and then things that can break on the car, right? And then when do they break? Because most vehicles have a good sense of, hey, this is going to need to be replaced around this time. And that way you can understand and budget for these things as well. So you should know what your maintenance costs are going to look like, what your monthly payment is going to look like, what insurance is going to look like on this. Get some quotes. Do this research in advance, and that way you can figure out exactly how much you could potentially make, or maybe more, sometimes a little bit less. It depends on how you are taking all this into account and being serious about using a Turo vehicle and having a Turo service, right? So based on the factors that I just went through, it helped me pick out my vehicle. So I ended up getting a Toyota Highlander. Now, again, it was very featureful. I got a heavily loaded vehicle, but relatively on the inexpensive side because it is a Toyota, and based on reviews of Toyota in the past and their reliability over time, I knew that this is something that is a low risk that I would have to be spending absorbent amounts of excess cash flow on to make sure that the business is still going. And it's worked out thus far. And I plan on getting more Highlanders at the moment because family vehicles seem to be a very good spot, especially because families take care of things. They're not really beating on them. It's not a sports car. It's something that's easy. So I chose the Toyota Highlander, right? My cost is relatively low monthly and insurance wise because it is a family vehicle, right? And not only family, but an SUV, nice and safe. Toyota, very, again, known for having a reliable engine, known for just being able to survive through many brutal situations. So your insurance is going to be a little bit lower as well. And because it's not a sports car, again, insurance is going to be lower. It's just little things that I took into play to get this going. I always make sure that I got a great interest rate as well. So my monthly payment was low. Now that's something that's a little bit different for those of you out there who don't know how to do that. That's a whole different conversation about credit, but you want to make sure that you get the lowest interest rate possible so you keep your monthly payments down as well. All of this will equal profit in your pocket or just more cash flow for your business in the Turo industry. So take all of these things into account. These are just small tips and tricks that I always look into before I start purchasing something, especially for this wonderful business that we call Turo. Thank you all for watching. Guarantee you there is more content coming. Do not forget, subscribe, like, hit the bell. Follow me for more excellent content. Instagram, Twitter. I'll see y'all soon. Y'all have a wonderful day.